Yes, well, to an awful lot of people, of course, I'm Jack Meadows,
Yeah.
and I'm still trying to live that down because I was in everyone's living room. You know, we had about 20 million viewers every week, and being in everyone's living room for once a week for 5 years, the name stuck, and I'm still hollered at on the street. You know, people still say, "Hello, Jack. How's everything? How's Dickie?" Yeah.
Your long career in entertainment has embraced films. You've done television, and you've also done a lot of live theatre work. Which, for you, is your favourite medium?
Well, I think each in its turn. They all have their attractions. The theater, of course, has the advantage of being very much live, playing to people and receiving immediate reactions. The film business is probably a little more expertly handled. If you have I suppose, given a reasonably intelligent director, you can be sure that your best work will be shown. Television is rather like weekly rep, especially if you're in a series, as I was with Dickie Henderson for several years. It's 50 or 60 pages of dialogue every Monday morning, which you must know by Wednesday. And you record the show on Friday and collapse for the weekend, and then start again on the Monday. But I'm very fond of all three, provided that the material is right. You know, if you're given something to do that you know you can do well.
Did I see you pop up in an episode of The Persuaders the other night?
Yes, that was very interesting. I had a week or two in the south of France shooting that. We did most of it in the hills behind Nice. And I spent 2 days wrestling about with Roger Moore, who's very young and very well built. And it was all a bit tiring for an old man like me.
I believe the story was set in the film festival at Cannes. Was it actually filmed during the film festival, or was that a mock-up?
Well, no, the actual scenes, which were to illustrate the film audiences at a film festival, were shot at the studio in London. The audience for the so-called film festival were mostly extras, you know.
I read somewhere that one of your hobbies was trying to curtail your weeds in your garden.
Yes, I have an acre of Hampshire, which is a great challenge and marvelous therapy when I've got nothing to do, which seems to be an awful lot of the time. I just report to the managing director, and she tells me what to weed and what to trim and what to dig, and keeps me busy, keeps me out of mischief.
Any other hobbies?
No, not really. I'm not a great gardener. She grows things. She can grow anything. She's very good at it. But I do all the donkey work. For instance, I've got about, I should think nearly half a mile of hedges around the place. They're all about 10 feet high and 6 feet across. And every year it takes me about 2 or 3 weeks to do the hedges alone. You know. And when I've done the mowing and what have you, that just about takes care of the week.
Is it a Canadian background you have?
Yeah, well, I'm English, really. I was born in England during the First World War, which is letting out a few secrets. But I was carried to Canada in diapers and spent my first 26 years in Canada, and came back with the Canadian Navy during the Second World War and decided to stay. Yes, Canada. I've enjoyed my youth in Canada, but I found that as I got a little older, the extremes of temperature were a bit hard to take. Very, very cold winters and very hot summers. And strangely enough, I like the climate here in Britain. I'm very happy with British weather.
Good.
The temperature never varies more than 30 or 40 degrees, and I haven't owned a winter overcoat for 20-odd years. And, it isn't necessary in the wintertime to go to work with moccasins and 3 or 4 pairs of socks and 2 pairs of gloves and ear muffs and all that.
Because we're not so fortunate as having some experience the hardness of the Canadian winter.
Well, that's it. I think anyone who complains about British weather obviously hasn't experienced extremes, because we don't have it, you know. People sleeping on fire escapes just to get a bit of fresh air, like New York, for instance. If you'd are not lucky enough to have air conditioning in the summertime. 5 degrees at 1 o'clock in the morning, which is a bit rough.
So more and more of the actors in the USA are beginning to decide to settle over here now.
Yes, a lot of them, I think, are a little disturbed by the violence. It's becoming a bit risky living in the bigger cities in America now. A friend of mine went over on business a little while ago and was asking the hotel head porter where he could pick up some English newspapers, and he'd just had dinner. It was about 9 o'clock in the evening, and he'd had a good dinner and felt that he would enjoy a little walk, and he wondered where he could pick up some papers, and the porter said about 2 or 3 streets away there was a newsstand that sold old European papers. And he said, "Oh, good, I'll walk down." And the porter said, "No, please, let me get you a taxi." And he said, "No, I'd enjoy the walk. It's a nice evening." And he said, "No, please, it's on the hotel. We'll provide the taxi, but we don't want you walking about at night," because apparently several people had been coshed and robbed within a block or two of this big hotel. This